Welcome to Wednesday's We Are Leeds. First up tonight, some breaking news for LUTV, and the game against Millwall on Saturday lunchtime will be live on LUTV. We've got more details to come, plus on the way tonight. Sean Harvey responds to the FA charge. Neil Thompson and Simon Grayson look ahead to tonight's reserve team game against Gateshead, and Neil Collins faces the fans at last night's Lorimer's Bar. First up tonight on We Are Leeds, and big news regarding Saturday's game against Millwall. It will be live on LUTV's pay-per-view channel. Now, due to licensing restrictions, the game can't be shown in the UK or Ireland, but will be available to subscribers in South Africa, Germany and Spain. The game will cost £5, and if you're not a subscriber already but do reside in those countries and the countries the club are hoping to add between now and Saturday, you can subscribe either monthly or yearly and then pay £5 extra to watch Leeds United against Millwall. All the details on the website between now and Saturday's kick-off time on www.leedsunited.com. In other news today, and Leeds United and Nottingham Forest were both charged by the FA yesterday after the incident on Saturday's game after Chris Gunter stamped on Sanchez Watt. Both clubs have been charged under new fast-track rules with failing to ensure their players conducting themselves in an orderly fashion and have until 4 p.m. this Friday to respond. Chris Gunter has also been charged with violent conduct following the incident involving Sanchez Watt. Chris Gunter has been offered a 3-match penalty and has until the end of today to decide whether to challenge the charge. As far as Leeds United's charge is concerned, we heard from Leeds United Chief Exec Sean Harvey at last night's Lorimer's Bar.
Ultimately, the FA have brought rules in. They don't want to see mass confrontations between players. I mean, what's a confrontation? For me, that wasn't on Sunday. You know, it was late on in the game, and it matters. Nobody's got hurt by any of the action. And the sad part about it is, of course, if the referee had actually spotted the incident in the first place and dealt with it at that time, then there probably wouldn't have been any form of confrontation in any event. It's a little bit difficult, the FA trying to point the finger of blame at a group of players, when probably the first person that's asked the question is probably the one that's helped determine the fact that we should get charged. We'll have to have a look at what the potential outcomes are. And unfortunately, what's right doesn't always come through in these disciplinary panels, as we've found before.
And for more information on the FA charge that Leeds United face, you can go to the website www.leedsunited.com. Tonight, it's the start of the reserve team season. They face Gateshead. It's an away trip for Neil Thompson and his men, and James Stanley's been getting the latest from Thorpe Arch.
So today, Neil Thompson is doing the final preparations ahead of the first reserve game for Leeds United against Gateshead.
We get a good mix of players, first-team players and young lads coming through, and you know, it's worked well. There's not been many performances last year. I think one I remember at Huddersfield, which won the best, but apart from that, everyone's applied themselves right and got something out of the game, which is important. You know, the first-team players need to come in and get minutes and get the legwork. You know, they've done that pre-season in some of the reserve games we've played, and that'll continue.
You've got to get the right balance between sort of players getting the right amount of training but getting the right time on the pitch, on the match situation. Players played last week at Bradford Park Avenue. We had a bit of a practice match yesterday morning, so players are getting enough football. You just got to get the right balance between sort of players that you play in the reserves that don't get injured, ready for the weekend as well.
The reserve team fixtures are quite physical, and you've got to just nurse them through it a little bit, but sometimes just going and exposing them to that is good for them, and you see who can sink and who can swim. There'll be one or two players who need the minutes, and we're waiting on a couple at the minute to finalise that squad, and then obviously we'll mix the team up with the youngsters who can go in and, you know, the chance to just ply the trade and play with the senior players, which makes a difference.
And we now have all the squad details for that game tonight against Gateshead. The transfer-listed trio of Alan Sheehan, Lubo Miklik and Andy Robinson will be involved. The team will be captained by Jason Crowe, and Adi White and Mike Greller will also get a run-out. There'll be live updates on Yorkshire Radio from 7 this evening, and we'll have highlights and reaction on tomorrow night's We Are Leeds. Now, next up, let's go back to Lorimer's Bar. We've already heard from Chief Exec Sean Harvey. On the night, Gwyn Williams, Richard Naylor, Neil Collins and Peter Lorimer also faced questions from the crowd who assembled in the banqueting suite. But before the event kicked off, we got the thoughts of Neil Collins on the first two games and his chance to face the Leeds United fans. 1-0, here we are at Lawrence Bar. Do you enjoy events like this where you get a chance to meet the fans?
Yeah, obviously enjoy it a wee bit more now that we managed to pick up our first point on Sunday. It wouldn't have been as good coming tonight having 2 defeats, but yeah, it's always good to hear what the fans think and can I get a chance to speak openly to them without having to read through reports or through the media. It's quite good, they can hear it from the horse's mouth tonight and ask what they want, so yeah, it's great to get the opportunity to do that.
I think it's important sometimes to sort of almost cut the media out and just have direct access to fans.
Yeah, definitely. I think you'd be amazed at the amount of times you say something and then it gets written in a totally different way. So it's nice for them to come and kind of see and hear you for themselves and ask their own questions, because they can ask things that sometimes journalists and that don't maybe want to ask, and kind of cuts out the middleman. The difference in the Championship's not about one-off games, it's about doing it over 46, and probably right now I don't know if we've got like some people out injured, the consistency to say automatic with the kind of squad we've got right now. But I think once we get players back from injury, it'll be like new signings, the likes of getting Max and Robert Snodgrass and Billy Painter obviously back. And then maybe if we add to the squad with 1 or 2 players, I think then you're looking at a very strong squad in this league. And it's just about, I think you look at Nottingham Forest, they came out of League One 2 years ago, and the first season they actually struggled, they just managed to stay in the Championship, but then the next year they finished 3rd. So I think the important thing is that as long as there's progression and that the club's progressing in the right way, which we are, we've signed some really good young players in the summer like Lloyd Sam, you can see straight away he's benefiting the team. He's made us a stronger team, and as long as we're kind of moving forward and the fans see that, I think on Sunday they showed their appreciation because they could see that the team had progressed even just from the Derby game. I think if we show that all season, I think we'll be there or thereabouts.
People have been talking about a learning curve for the squad. Do you feel inside the squad, is that how it seemed?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think that's one of those things. I think we've got a few players that have played in the Championship and a lot of players that haven't, been there before. And I think it's just, as I say, being in League One for 3 years is quite a long time, and a lot of these players have been part of this team for 3 years in League One. So now they're getting used to the Championship again. And as I say, I think we've done well on Sunday, and yeah, we're certainly learning quickly.
And there's plenty more to come from Lawrence Bar over the next couple of days here on We Are Leeds. That's almost it for tonight. Don't forget the reserve team in action this evening against Gateshead. We'll have reaction and highlights from the game tomorrow night from 6 on We Are Leeds. But for this evening, that is your lot. Thank you and good night.